Everyone, this is another video in the Programming Fundamentals series, and in this video we're going to be going over classes and objects. They're really important to use and really nice. They fall under the object-oriented programming principle. Essentially what a class is, it's like a file, and it gives you the ability to have member variables that you can call in your program and behaviors for those variables, meaning these are methods. And the best way I think to explain this is with an example. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to have two things going on here. We're going to have this, which this is your main file. And we're going to have this. This is another file that we're going to create. And this file is a job, well, it's whatever programming language you use, but this file is going to be called person. And in this file, we're going to declare a couple things. We're going to declare a string name, and we're going to declare a string age. And these are your member variables. And now we're going to create some methods that we can use to manipulate these member variables. So let's just say we're going to return a string get name, and we don't have to pass any parameters because we're within this file. We're going to return name. So we're going to return this variable. Let's just do another one. String get age, and we're going to return age. And now when we call this method, we're going to return this age. Let's just do, now these are called getters. Now let's just do another one. Let's just do void, because we're not returning anything, so it's going to be void. And not all programs use void, but this is more of a Java syntax, but it's going to be the best way for me to explain this. Void, let's go set name, and in here we're going to go this dot name equals, and we're going to go string name equals name. So now what this is going to do is when this method is called, we're going to pass in a parameter of name, and it's going to set this variable to the variable we pass in. So in your main program, this is your main program. This is what's running all your code in your program. We're going to create one. We're going to say person Bob equals new person. And now so there is something else that I didn't mention, and that's a constructor. Constructors are what create this object. In most programming languages, if you don't create a constructor, it's just going to use a default one and set all these values to nothing. So right now, since we didn't create one, it's just going to create a default constructor. And then now we can go Bob dot set name to whatever name we want to put, Bob. So now what this does is it creates a new person, So what this does is you have a person down here, and you have a name field for this person, and you have an age. And what it does now is it sets the name to Bob, and right now there's nothing for the age. We didn't create a setter. It would be the same thing as this, except instead of updating name, it would update age. So you would do Bob.set age equals 100. So now age is 100. If we do Bob.get name and Bob.get age, this is going to return the name right here, Bob, and this is going to return the age, 100. And then the only other thing I didn't mention are constructors. And if we don't create a constructor in this person class, it's just going to use a default constructor. And that default constructor isn't really going to do anything. And what I mean by a constructor is when you call this, when you do this line, when you create the new object, it's going to call a method to create it. And right now, since we didn't create a method, it's just not going to do anything. It's just going to use a default one. But we could make one, for example. Let's just do this same example. We can make one. I'm just going to expand this. We could make one right here, and it would be public person, because it's the name of the class. This is the name of the object. Then we could pass in string name and string age. And then in here we would say this dot name equals name, and this dot age equals age. So what this does is it passes in a name and an age. It takes the name here, what we're passing in, and sets it. Now this variable is the name we pass in. It takes the person object of age and now sets it to the age we pass in. And these should be lowercase. So then in here, what we would do is this would look different. We'll just get rid of this. You can still call those methods, but when you call to create it, what you can do now is you can go person, because you have to use the object name, Bob equals new person. And now we can pass in, since we have this constructor, we can pass in the name, Bob, and the age, 100. And now it does the same thing as before. We have a person here, his name and age are now what we pass in to this method, because what this does is it goes and it calls person down here, and we pass in name. It sets the person variable here to the name we pass in, and it sets the age variable here to the age we pass in. So now name is Bob and age is 100. So guys, that's all objects are in classes. It's just a way for you to create kind of like your own way to store data. So guys, that's all I got for this video. I hope you learned something. Hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Thanks.